welcome to another episode of Larry's Rants, Raves, and Reviews! Now, it's the moment that you have all been waiting for. Here comes the man, the myth, the legend, my papa! Here's Larry!
Welcome back to this episode, and I hope that you really are enjoying this mini-series and will continue to listen and enjoy it and think. Because I'm telling you, in my opinion, I believe that the Republicans do not want to win the midterms. You say, wow, Larry, that's kind of a crazy idea. Well, think about it. Do you ever see a sports team act like they don't want to win? They get out there and they fight to win that game. The Republicans, I don't know what they're doing. I don't even think they know what they're doing. So that's why I'm going to give you, in this mini-series, 9 solid reasons why. I'm going to give you the reason, and then I'm going to try to go and drill down into some detail of why I feel the way that I do. So last episode, I gave you reason number 1. Winning threatens the very system that they all benefit from, which is dark money. That's reason number 1. So let's just jump right into this episode and get to reason number 2. Reason number 2 that I'm going to bring to mind is I believe that the Republicans, now when I say Republicans, I don't mean a blanket statement of every Republican in America. I'm talking about the Republicans that are in control within Washington. I'm talking about the senators, the congressmen, the people that are in control of this country. So when I say Republicans, that's who I'm referring to. So reason number 2, Republicans hate President Trump and his America First agenda. Let me repeat that one more time. Reason number 2 is Republicans hate Trump and his American First agenda. I've got to tell you that the Republicans are in total control. We've got the presidency, the Senate, and the Congress. And yet we are leading the do-nothing charge. And I believe that they are intentionally stonewalling the entire America First agenda. Because here's what I really think. The McConnell globalists want to stay in power. They desire, they thrive, they live on that power. Now here's what I'm going to ask you folks. Don't be naive. While Mitch McConnell can no longer complete a string of sentences, the Uniparty works together to destroy America and defeat the America First agenda. The truth, the reality, is that Mitch McConnell is out of his mind and out of control. He's a senile, hates America and its people, and certainly is no friend of the Republic. However, how many Republicans have the guts to say the actual truth just like I said it? I was talking to a friend of mine. He called me today and just wanted to check in on me. And I told him about this series that I was recording, and he's like, wow. I said, now I'm not going to give you the details because if you don't care to listen, then I'm not going to give them to you. You got to listen to my podcast. You got to watch a video channel. You've got to pay attention, or I'm not just going to give it to you one-on-one. And he chuckled, and I did too. But we both could come to the agreement that it sure seems like they don't care and don't want to win the midterm elections. You say, wow, Larry, that's a little harsh. But I've got to tell you, folks, sometimes the old saying goes like this: sometimes the truth really hurts. You see, Mitch McConnell has been blocking the SAVE Act rule as the rules chair by skipping markup, and he's stalling despite a few good Republicans that's screaming for the vote and putting pressure on. He has been an enemy of MAGA from day one. Now, when I say that, I'm saying that he is an enemy of MAGA and Donald Trump from day one, from the first term that Donald Trump had to this term. He has opposed him on everything. He hates Donald Trump's guts. A lot of people do. But why? They can't give you good reasons why. Every time you ask them why, they come up with some talking point that the liberal Democrats have put in their heads. But I'm not here to talk about the Democrats today. I'm here to talk about the Republicans. You see, Representative Tim Burchard out of Tennessee, and I've got to tell you one more time, the more I hear about this guy and the more that I read about this guy, the more I like him. Man, he is in your face, spoken. He doesn't really care. He doesn't sugarcoat anything. He speaks the truth and let it fly. I kind of like him. So Tim Burchard says that McConnell has been AWOL for a long time with dementia, and his staff runs his office. Now, some of you may not understand or recognize that some of these senators, these congressmen, they might have 40, 50, 60 people on staff in their office. They're running the office. You think that you elected a representative? You think you elected a senator? No. He's got a whole gang of people that is running that office. He's probably in that office very seldom. They are the ones calling the shots. They're the ones that are being wined and dined and taken on vacation and getting all the money that's being given to that candidate. And that candidate will then come in and say, who gave us the most money? Who's done most for us? And then he will turn and go and he will cast his vote. The vote for who has scratched my back the most. Again, folks, if you really believe in our government, I really, truly feel sorry for you. You see, John Thune, and you know I'm picking on John Thune because I don't like the man at all. But John Thune says, we're all aligned. We're all trying to get this bill passed on election integrity. But here's what I'll tell you. He's a snake. He's a snake that is only aligned with the deep state and the communist Democrats. Thune wants to appear, now listen to me closely. Thune wants to appear like he's working hard for the American people. But don't be fooled. Thune is working hard against the MAGA movement and President Trump. I personally believe that Thune is a traitor. I think that he hates Trump. I think that he hates MAGA. And I also believe that he hates anything that does not benefit him and his wallet. Some in Washington actually agree with me, or I agree with them. Senator Mike Lee, a Republican from Utah, says that if Thune would bring the Save America Act, if he would bring it to the floor, it will pass. If only he would do it. Lee also goes on in an article that I read to say that if we debate this thing, it will continue to become more popular and it will pass as long as we just make sure we keep the debate open and aggressive until we are ready to bring it to a vote and win. Now, Lee also goes on in this article that I read that according to Lee, 85% of Americans want this bill, even among Democrats. The only place where it's unpopular among Democrats, guess what? Is in Congress. It's in Congress. The Democrats nor the Republicans want this election integrity bill to pass. Here's an article that I found. It's from the Federalist. You can find this at federalist.com, thefederalist.com. The title of it is John, Failure is Not an Option. Thune just failed election integrity. Now, the author says, let's face it, the debate show on the Save America Act was the plan all along, and Thune was the star of the deliberate farce. I like that. He goes on to say, sure, the do-nothing Republican Senate leader just pulled a bullet, it put a bullet in the back of the head of election integrity reform. But you'll be glad to know they gave it the old college try. They had a spirited debate. Speaking to reporters, you see Senator Majority Leader John Thune pulled the curtain down on the failure theater of marathon debate on the Safeguard American Voter Eligibility Save America Act. The extremely popular cornerstones of the package would require document of proof of U.S. citizenship to register to vote in the U.S. elections and a photo ID to cast a ballot. Now, ladies and gentlemen, if you're in your right mind, and I know many aren't, but I think that my listeners probably are. If you're in your right mind, do you think that we're asking too much to prove when you go to register to vote, yes, I am a U.S. citizen? Here's all the information? Are we asking too much? I've got my birth certificate. I've got a social security card. I've got all kinds of information. I am a U.S. citizen. And that's the only people I want voting in my elections. Is it too much to ask for someone to carry a photo ID into the voting poll place and say, here I am, I'm Larry, let me vote? Is that too much to ask? I don't think so. But let's face it, the debate show was the plan all along. And the South Dakota Republican was the star of the deliberate farce. Thune said, we called it up on the floor March, and I think it was probably March the 17th. We were on it for several weeks, and we had a very spirited debate. And the Senate took a vote on one of the key components of the SAVE Act America, requiring photo identification to vote. The upper house took another vote on the tack-on provision in the bill that would ban males from girls' sports. And we put the Democrats on record. Oh, he's talking real tough. He's acting real tough. We put the Democrats on record. Dear God, they were already on record. You did nothing for us but screw this up to where they can cheat more and more in elections. I would have to say that, of course, the Democrats all voted against the provisions because they're insane and they want as little integrity in our elections as humanly possible. You see, in integrity, election integrity costs them elections. It's against the grain of their DNA. But Thune wants all of us to recognize he gave it the best shot that he could. We've done everything for y'all. Pat us on the back. We didn't do anything but screw things up. But pat us on the back because we screwed them up real good. And then the last thing in this report, it says, Thune says, we don't have the votes to get rid of the filibuster. And that's probably true because we have a bunch of rhinos. Too many Senate Republicans live under the delusion that when Democrats take back the Senate, they won't nuke the filibuster to slam through all of their Marxist legislation, including their own election bill that would truly federalize election administration and effectively do away with voter ID laws that's now on the books on 36 states. Well, spoiler alert, John Thune, let me tell you, they will. You and a lot of the Republicans there don't think they'll do it. Trust me, they'll do it because they've got guts enough to. And I know you don't have the guts because you don't care about America. You care about your power, your control, and your money. And if you were standing face to face with me, I would say the same exact thing. When I get on this camera, I have guts enough to say exactly what I would say to you in person. There's no doubt at all in my mind that the American people want voter verification in our elections. Ladies and gentlemen, why wouldn't we? If you have half a brain, you would want election integrity. The only reason you would not want election integrity is so that you could cheat. Now, here's what I would tell the Senate. John Thune may be rock solid in his Senate seat, but that doesn't mean that he has to be the majority leader. We need to get rid of him and replace him. He's no good. He's a cheat, a thief, a liar, anything else you'd want to put in there. You see, here's what I will tell you. Republicans have control, and yet they are blocking all of President Trump's picks for his judicial nominations and U.S. attorneys. Why? Ask yourself this question. Why? Here's another question. Why did the rhinos put Thune and McConnell in charge of the Senate? Well, it sure wasn't to help President Trump, because they've done nothing but obstruct their voters' will. Republicans are undermining our president and our country every step of the way. Republicans are sabotaging President Trump from inside Congress. And I will go on record to say, John Thune and even Mike Johnson are the enemy of the people and President Trump. I got one more report to just look at real quick with you. Here's one that was released back on June 3rd. It says, House approves war powers resolution to block further military action in Iran. The story reads, the House of Representatives approved a war powers resolution that would prevent any further military actions against Iran. A handful of Republicans crossed the aisle to join Democrats in ending the Trump administration's 3-month Middle East military campaign. Now, the 4 Republicans who voted with Democrats were Thomas Massie of Kentucky. He's one of those guys that people either love or hate him. There's very few people in between. Some people think he's a zero, others think he's a hero. Then you've got Tom Barrett of Michigan. You've got Warren Davidson of Ohio and Brian Fitzpatrick of Pennsylvania. The final vote on this bill was 215 to 208, and that is with 6 Republicans and 1 Democrat that didn't even vote. House Speaker Mike Johnson, Republican from Louisiana, said, he's worked to keep his party under control. Yeah. But the unpopularity of the war in Iran has pushed some Republicans to defy President Donald Trump. I don't know, a few questions. Remember back in 2024 when all of the drones were flying all over New Jersey? And people thought, we were told, Iran had brought over a ship and was releasing these drones and doing practice runs, that they were going to bomb us, that they were going to do certain things. Other people said, oh, Iran has some kind of a submarine they've brought into there. We could not get any answers. I mean, Sleepy Joe was asleep. He had no idea. Autopin Barack Hussein Obama, he wasn't going to give us any answers. And to this day, we still don't know the truth about these. You see, Larry, now you're just into all these conspiracy theories. Well, why don't you try telling us the truth up front, real quick, and maybe we'll quit believing them. We still don't know what was going on. Today, people complain about gas prices. Folks, would you rather pay a little bit more for gasoline, or would you rather Iran have a nuclear bomb? All you liberals that live out in California, do you not think that you'd be the first place that they would come over and bomb? Do you not think that the first nuke wouldn't land in California? Do we want Iran to have those? I bet you if you went to Iran and asked the people of Iran, what are your feelings about Donald Trump? You know what they'd say? We love Donald Trump. You see, because years ago, up until about 77, 78, they were a wonderful country, as modern as America, if not more. But then that evil Muslim regime came in and took them over and made them slaves to them. I've got to tell you, I bet you that they love Donald Trump. Isn't it funny how people around the world love Donald Trump for everything that he's doing, but here in America, so many people hate him? But the Republican Party needs to remember, there were millions of MAGA people that put him in office because we love him, and you better get your act together. But I really don't think that you want to get your act together, because I don't believe that you really want to win. The last thing I'd say on Iran is the simple fact, we need to finish the job. I am so sick and tired of us wasting millions of dollars putting our servicemen at risk and getting the job half done. It's time that America learns to finish the job. Well, I would tell you this, even though we had the majority, and I say we, meaning the Republicans, and that's kind of a hard pill for me to swallow anymore. I've been a Republican all my life, but I got to tell you, folks, I'm really not one now. I'm only one in kind of name and registration. That's about it. But the Republicans have the majority. Now, they can cross the aisle to the other side and vote with the Democrats and vote to hurt President Trump and all that he's accomplishing in the Middle East. But we can't get as much as needed bill as the election integrity bill. We cannot even get it to pass. It's almost as if the Republicans do not have a majority. It's almost as if they're not in control. Well, folks, let me tell you this. It's not the fact that we can't get the bill through. The fact is, the Republicans do not want to. Thune and Johnson won't allow it. Again, I'll go back and quote Tim Burchard. He says the biggest threat to Trump isn't Democrats, it's GOP lawmakers and staffers who secretly hate him and work to derail his agenda before the 2026 midterms. Boy, Tim, I wish you would call me up. Let's go have lunch or dinner, because I got to tell you, I think you and I are on the same page, buddy. I truly do. Because I think the Republicans hate President Trump and the America First agenda. You see, the Republicans that are in office have done absolutely nothing but obstruct their voters' will. Why? Because Republicans are threatened by Trump. They hate Trump because he's cutting off their money and eroding their power and control. Republicans are blocking real change. You Republicans out there, if you're listening to me, you need to wake up. Quit blaming everything on the Democrats. Yes, the Democrats, I call them communists. They're evil. They're horrible. I'll give you that. But I've got to tell you, the Republicans are just one step behind them, but the Republicans are just more sneaky at it. Have you ever seen a couple of kids? One of them is blatantly just as mean as dirt, but the other one sneaks. I got to tell you, I'd rather have a rebellious kid in my face than to have one that sneaks around. That's what I think about the Republicans and the Democrats. The Democrats are in your face. They say they hate America. They say they want to change everything about America. They want us to be a different country than what America's always been. But the Republicans just play along. They just play along. You see, MAGA gave the majority to the Republicans. We wanted them to fix the elections and to get stuff done. But they refused to make those changes. Here's what I would tell you. The Republicans seem to agree and align themselves more with the current Democratic Party, and most of them detest Trump and his goals for America. The sad reality is that Republicans are nowhere as committed to saving America as the Democrats are to destroying America. Last episode, I said the Democrats desire to destroy America. The Republicans' desire is to pretend they will stop them. MAGA stands totally against everything the Republican Party is doing. And I'd like to list off a whole bunch of stuff that the Republican Party supposedly is doing. But folks, where's the list? Oh, they jumped in, they did one big beautiful bill, and then they laid down. They did absolutely nothing. I have no idea what they're up there in Washington doing. But we have wasted half of Donald Trump's second term. And I believe they want to lose the midterms. Think I'm crazy, but you need to think about this more. So, my first two reasons why I believe the Republicans want to lose the midterm, number one, is that winning threatens the very system that they all benefit from, dark money. The second reason is that Republicans hate Trump and his America First agenda. Now, I'll remind you that as we go through this mini-series, these reasons are not prioritized, but the thought occurred to me right before I started recording, is the fact that they're not prioritized. They're just came to me, and I started making notes. But some are more obvious than others. So if you'll keep listening, paying attention, I'm going to come up with a couple of them that maybe aren't as obvious that everybody can see. I think I've got a couple of them that you're going to be fairly impressed with. In fact, reason number 3, next episode is worth tuning into, because I think you're going to be surprised at how I really come around to this. So I'd ask you to do me this favor. Simply open your mind and think over the reasons that I'm giving to you, and I think that you will see how corrupt our government truly is. All I have ever asked you to do on this podcast, I don't ask you to agree with me. What I've only asked you to do is to think, and think for yourself. So, do me this. Leave me a comment. If what you're listening to or watching, there's a comment box, hit the comment box and tell me what your thoughts are. If not, email me at larryb@larrystrippler.com and give me your thoughts. Okay? Second thing I would ask you to do is forward this to family and friends, and let's see what they have to think about it. They may send you back a message saying, that guy's an idiot. Or they may say, that guy's the smartest guy I've talked to in a while, listened to in a while. Who knows? Somewhere in between. And the third thing is, tune in next episode to continue our thoughts on this subject, because I think that we're going to lay some groundwork of why I truly believe the Republicans want to lose the midterm elections. I hope that you will have a great day.